Hi everybody, it's Sally here, and today I'm going to just have a quick run through of the silver reed knitting machine Carriage and what all the different levers and knobs do on these machines. This model is an SK280 standard gauge, but the layout of the Carriage on this machine is the same on virtually all of the other models that Silver Reed, formerly known as Knitmaster, Empisal, Singer, Studio, all the different models have the same layout. There are a few exceptions. The plastic machines obviously don't have the Carriage like this because they don't have patterning drums. The standard gauge electronics don't have exactly the same. It's almost the same, but they have extra options on the stitch patterns on the dial here. But the mid gauge and the chunky electronic machine are exactly the same as this. The fine gauge was the same. The SK150, rather rare mid gauge punch card machine, and its friend, the MK70 folding version, have a Carriage that's the same layout as this. So virtually all the models have the same type of Carriage, which is one of the great things about these machines. So once you've learned how to use one machine, you've got the skills to switch to a different gauge or a different model, because everything is the same, be in the same place, does the same thing, which is one of the better features of them, I think. So, okay, here is your knitting machine Carriage. I'm just going to tip this up slightly. First of all, in the centre here, you've got this dial that twiddles round and round with numbers on it. This dial sets the stitch size of your knitting. Obviously, depending on what gauge of machine you've got and what thickness of yarn you're using, you need to set it to the right number for that combination. It goes usually up to 10 plus maybe a couple of clicks, and down to 0, maybe a couple of clicks below 0, so you've got a very wide range. On these, there's the whole numbers plus 2 stations in between, so you can have 1 and a dot or 1 and 2 dots, 2 and a dot, 2 and 2 dots. So it gives you a very an opportunity to really fine-tune your stitch size on all of these machines. I usually have mine set on 7 because I most commonly knit 4-ply on my standard gauge, and that's the number I start at. I'll knit a tension piece and then decide whether I need to tweak my tension by going up or down a little bit if I don't like the result or the numbers that I've got. So that's your stitch size dial. In front here, you've got this little lever that moves from side to side. It's normally in the centre, which if you flick it, you'll see underneath there is a 0. That is for stocking stitch, stockinette, and you can move it 2 clicks to the right. The first is for thread or punch lace, not true lace. This Carriage doesn't knit true lace. Or to the left, you can go to slip or tuck, which are textured stitch patterns. But centre is the stockinette setting. At the back of the Carriage, you've got your 2 patterning drums in these housings, and they interact with the pattern reader, card reader mechanism at the back with a punch card to knit patterns. On the front here, you've got 2 metal levers called Russell levers, and you use these when you want to put work into hold. They are normally on the number 2 position, flipped in, but if you push them out, if you then have any needles out in D position, as far forward as they will come, as you can see, they have not knitted back, so any work on those needles will be held. To put them back into work, you push them back to C, and they'll knit back. Oh, see, B position is your normal working position, and right at the back is A position or non-working position. So that's what the Russell levers do. And on the side here, you have levers, on both sides, called side levers, strangely enough. And they have a forward position, which is the circle, or a backward position, push them back, which is the triangle. Now these levers, in conjunction with having a punch card in the punch card reader, are what control the pattern knitting. If you select Fair Isle, whoops, round there, and leave your side levers forwards and have a card in there and knit, it won't do anything. You have to put the side levers back to engage the pattern knitting. So that they have a very important function. Forwards is plain knitting, back is pattern knitting, whether it's Fair Isle, tuck or whatever. So just remember that. I have seen in some instruction books, they tell you to put your side levers back and forget about it. That is an absolutely ludicrous instruction. And why on earth they put that in there, I don't know. For some reason, the manufacturers of this machine have always shied away from explaining to you what these side levers do. They control the pattern mechanism. Just get that piece of information stuck in your brain. But if you put them back, okay, on a flatbed knitting, when you leave it set as stockinette, nothing much will happen. But if you then put a ribber on and you've got your side levers back, mayhem will ensue. So leave them forwards unless you have got a punch card in here and you're pattern knitting. Putting them back also just makes the carriage work harder than it needs to if you're not pattern knitting. I can feel the difference on my machine. I can feel that carriage actually working harder if I'm just knitting stockinette and I've accidentally left my side levers back when I didn't need to. So forwards at all times unless you're pattern knitting. Right, coming back to the carriage, at the back here you have got this little arm which turns in or out, and that just engages the row counter with the tripper at the back so that each time you pass the carriage it will count a row. On the front here you've got the knitting arm, which is also sometimes somewhat erroneously called the sinker plate. It is actually properly called the knitting arm. In here there's two brushes. These are weaving brushes, not tuck brushes, not any other kind of brushes. They're weaving brushes, and you use them only if you're going to do a weaving cast on or actually knit weave. And you engage them just by flipping these levers here. And these little arms with the red knobs on the end is where you hook your weaving yarn, because it's usually manually fed. But unless you're weaving, you don't, no need to engage the weaving brushes. Again, if you put them into work, you either run the risk of them tangling up something, or else you just wear them out before you need to. And if you wear them out, the weaving won't work. Your weaving cast on won't work. So you need to just check periodically that they are still in good condition so that your weaving will work okay. One other thing on the carriage here, there's a little lever, usually on the right hand side, and if you flip it, the front of the carriage lifts up. This enables you to move the carriage from side to side with knitting on without it all falling on the floor. And that's how you do, when they ask you to do a free pass, that's how you do a free pass. You release the carriage. Some of the older models didn't have this lever, but you could just lift the carriage up manually. And some you couldn't. You had to do another version of a free pass, but usually now they have a lever on here. And one last thing, if you have a Knitmaster, Silver Reed, Singer, Studio, whatever, 700, if I just tip this forward here, on the front of the carriage, in front of the side levers, mine has actually got this little cutout and the numbers 1 and 2 on it. On the 700 machine, you'll have another little lever here. This is for intarsia, but the 700 is the only model that had the built-in intarsia on it. So therefore, it's the only model where you'll see these extra 2 levers on the front. But they are for, as I say, for intarsia knitting, so for everything else you don't need them. So there we have it. As I say, all of these things have a specific function, and it's quite easy, you know, once you remember what these do and how they work in conjunction with the punch card, how you get your desired result when you want to knit different stitch patterns. So I hope that's cleared things up for a few people. If you have any questions, please ask.